the hell?
That's best. Everybody move up one on the outside. I also like the look of young Don Bowie. He's got a pretty good start in this race. And number 68 drives real smooth, but we've got a lot of hot shots at the back. Here's the start. This is the Speedcar Feature race over 20 laps. Event number 14.
Don Bowie powers it through into the lead. We got
trouble in turn one for a moment.
Gary Dillon pulling infield as the race just starts. Obviously lost power, might have knocked it out of gear.
This will be a good race from here on in because Bowie is smooth enough to make the most of that early lead. He's not a jerky driver at all. He likes to set it up and glide it through the corners. Whoa, Terry Weigel, look out.
Whoa.
Cars behind him. Phil March. Phil March is going to be very quick. And in fact, with only 1.5 laps down, I think that Phil March could be the early favourite for this race. But the race leader, though, is Don Bowie, and doing it so neatly out the front. 2 laps down for Bowie. Here comes March. He is absolutely surrounding Weezy.
Oh, and Weezy drifts up high, nearly takes March with him. He comes back down and almost takes Terry Weigel onto the infield. Philorine back there, eating a cloud full of spray there as they clip a bit of water on the edge of the track there.
And look at Ron Gates in car number 3. He's broken out of the pack. He was also showing himself to be one of the stars here at Winfield Speedway Park. Number 78, look out, trouble in turn one. We've got 3 cars together, but they're still going, they're still moving. The green lights are on, and the race continues. And Gates is gaining, hand over fist. Alan Weiss stays, and there's the yellow. Chaz Madden spins. Weiss almost parks it. He's looking for the parking meter. He's feeling in his pocket for 20 cents.
Alan Weiss there, he just got balked too much and the car slowed down. I guess he might have just flooded it as he tried to get underway again. And bad luck for him because that was certainly would have been a good one if he could have kept it going, but not to worry. We'll have a restart. I dare say he'll be back in it. Just a quick reminder about next week, though. Nigel Bucock, world solo team here, the best solo riders in the world here at Speedway Park. For the USA, Sean Moran and Rick Miller. England features Andy Smith and Peter Carr. For New Zealand, Mitch Shearer. Denmark, Ian Jorgensen and Peter Glass. While Australia will be represented by Darren Bucock, Phil Crump and Rod Hunter. It's a night of world-class solo racing right here at Speedway Park, and it's happening next Friday night. Not to be missed.
Looking for a restart shortly for the Speedcar Feature race. Alan Weiss still parked in turn 2. His time's not up on the parking meter yet, so might as well make most of it. In comes the push car. Give him a gentle shove along the back straight.
Terry Weigel reckons he should be in position number 2.
That's the general store push car. I reckon Phil March might have a reasonable claim to it. It was Terry Weigel getting out of line a couple of times between turns 1 and 2 early at this race. Don Bowie is going to want to get shake a leg right at the start on the restart because Phil March is very quick and he's in a mean mood tonight. Terry Weigel says, I'd much rather start in front of you than behind you, thanks, Phil. And Phil Hareen, too, has fought his way from way back. Phil Hareen started this race.
Could see some fireworks here with Phil March and Terry Weigel. Away goes Don Bowie, though. He's got that car revved up, and around the outside goes Phil March. Marchy trying for the outside, and Don Bowie certainly got the power out of that corner and seems to be getting it out of the ground too, which is more important. Bowie gets up a little bit higher. Marchy comes through, shunts him sideways as he goes through, loses a bit of ground, and Bowie goes sideways, and Marchy goes round there back of him as well, and he can't find a way through. Don Bowie driving exceptionally well, goes up high to get the fast line into the corner.
Don Bowie, you're a little beauty. I saw Phil March get through on the inside, and I thought, well, that's it. March is away, but Bowie, with all those years, well, a couple of years experience at the top in Formula 500s, took him on again. But finally, maybe a better car. Phil March swoops around the outside. Bowie keeps his foot flat to the board, and that Schnitzer BMW in second place. Holding on in there, but March drawing away now.
Bob McMillan pulls infield on the far side of the track as Phil March starts to streak away from Don Bowie. Terry Weigel in third spot. Once again, that car seems to be slowing as it heats up. Similar problem to what he had the last race.
Yeah, I was looking for Gary Dillon, but he isn't on the infield. He had trouble right at the start, didn't he? May have hit another car.
Yeah, pulled out, might have knocked it out of gear, I think, just at the start of the race.
What a pity.
But our race leader is Phil March. Just coming under the pit gate now, down the straight, rounding up Chaz Madden. Don Bowie in car number 68 in second spot. Then we've got Terry Weigel, Phil Hareen about to tackle him. Ron Gates back behind him. Then a mile-long gap, almost half a lap, back to Bill Weigel. and Leith Mitchell, followed by Bella Hang, I think it is in there.
Phil March, one of the quickest speed car drivers in the country, taking a while to reassert himself this season.
Oh, and there's Philorine getting underneath Terry Wixell. Wixell comes back at him now on the inside and roars down the straight in front. Here comes Hareen. Hareen trying to get through on the inside, but Wixell's got the line into the corner, and Terry Wixell keeps that gate closed. He drifts out high and wide. Hareen's got a better line, and side by side they're going down the straight.
That's
now
a good
Hareen
drive
goes
for third
through.
place.
Oh, just about takes the front of Terry Wixell's car as he goes through underneath him. And Hareen now slots himself into third spot in the race. Race leader coming down the straight now. Car number 78, Phil March. In second spot is 68, the white car of Don Bowie. Followed by car 2, the Hiroshima Screamer, Phil Hareen at the wheel. And then Terry Wixell, followed by Ron Gates. And then Bill Wixell, who's made up quite a bit of ground there in the last few laps.
Earlier on, we were talking about Phil March driving a very mean race tonight, car number 78. Well, what about Phil Hareen in third place now, car number 2, as he bears down on 68, which is young Don Bowie. Phil Hareen and that little dice that he had with Terry Wixell a few laps back was magnificent. Great driving between two very courageous and very quick drivers in the midgets. 7 laps to go. Down the back straight is 78. Phil March, the race leader. But this is where the action is. In second place with a clear track ahead of them. Going past the Winfield signs. Car number 68, Don Bowie. About his second, third meeting in car number 68. The one that's motivated by a Schnitzer BMW engine, formerly driven by Greg Anderson. Can he hold out Phil Hareen in the little Hiroshima Screamer? I guess not. Hareen looking for a way underneath him. Bowie driving a nice tight race though, Brian.
Certainly is. It's a credit to him that he's handling the car this well. They geared the car down during their pit break, and now it looks like he's holding off.
Doesn't this remind you of the state championship some years ago when Phil March was in the lead, driving a line like that, just like Bowie is now, and he had Phil Hareen nagging after him lap after lap, and Phil March it was who took off the Australian championship that night.
That was a memorable night, that too, because he was Rookie of the Year in the same year, I think. But there he is, Don Bowie, just holding in there. And I don't know whether he can hold on. He's got another 3 laps to do it.
They're almost a half a lap behind Phil March at this stage. But Don Bowie certainly is gritting his teeth, trying to hold out Phil Hareen. And Hareen desperate to get past him. Don Bowie tonight is showing himself an A-grader. He's driving really well. In turn 1's our race leader. Phil March just cutting his way through the slower car.
There's a
trouble.
and
flame. There's flame behind Dud Lambert's car. Phil Hareen's okay. He was enveloped in flame for a moment, but he's okay. He's out of it. Dud Lambert is stuck. We need the Women for Wheels cars as soon as we can get to it.
Dud Lambert's got to get out of that car and got to get out fast. He's stuck by his belts. And
that's Phil Hareen, is it? No, it's one of the other drivers very quickly to him, trying to get him out of the belts. As the Women for Wheels men extinguish the flame, there's Dud out. This is one of
the fire still burns under that car. It's still on fire. That methanol is highly volatile fuel, and it's really going up.
Oh, that's one of the most frightening things that I've ever seen at the Speedway. The people for the Women for Wheels are running now for refills because they've actually gone through the extinguishers. Some of them have used up all the foam from their extinguishers. We see the ambulance people around.
Full marks into Terry Wixell, who leapt out of his car and raced over to get Dud Lambert out of that car. And full marks to Terry Wixell.
I've got the checkered flag. The race has been declared, but who cares about the race?
Yes, I was going to say, how about a big hand for Terry Wixell? He sprinted out of nowhere to get through to that car and get the driver out. And of course, full marks to Women on Wheels, and didn't they do a magnificent job on what could have been a very nasty situation, eh?
For sure. Gee, that was one of the most frightening things I've seen at Speedway for many, many years.
And if that was Terry, that's one of the most heroic things you can imagine, couldn't you? With methanol, blue flame.
And he just ran in there, knew what to do to get him out of the car. Now we've got Phil Hareen down there being helped off by the Women for Wheels.
What a moment for Phil, because you could see that the whole cockpit of his car was covered in flame for a moment. He was lucky just to turn right just that little bit and pull up. But, frightening.
Oh, for sure. That's probably nothing more terrifying on a race circuit than fire. And that was one of the really nasty things. Phil Hareen being assisted by the St John Ambulance team. Dud Lambert's already there. And one of the main problems with fire for the drivers is caused when inhaling, breathing in the super hot air. Can cause damage to the lungs and to the windpipe, and that is always a fear. And Rob, you'd be aware of the Formula One cars, which have an emergency supply of air, of medical air, which is in the event they have to activate the fire extinguishers on the car, the air pumps into the crash helmet.
Actually called it a life support, and that's just what it is. What can you tell us, Mel?
Well, Dud Lambert's sitting in the ambulance with a grin from ear to ear.
Fantastic.
And all he's saying is, well, gee, it was hot in there. But he's okay. The doctor's just going over him now.
Is Phil okay?
Phil Loreen took in some fumes, some hot fumes, and he's got a sore throat, but he looks like he'll be okay too. So great things by the ambulance crew, and they're working on them both now, but it's good to see that Phil, I think, will be all right, and I'm sure Dud is too, because he's sitting there with a grin. If you know Dud, like most of us do, he's as happy as Larry.